When the airwaves in your market become more and more crowded. It's time to break it open and really stand out. Broken Air. It's here.
On mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos.
Understand the hardship you face. I wish
East conversation around nationhood and development. We have made 4 to 5:30 p.m. Monday to Friday the perfect time to welcome you into the Situation Room as we
This to lend its voice to the plight of these people. Mr. President, there is nowhere I can say it except here. This is why I'm elected. If I cannot say these things on this floor, sir, I better resign and leave.
as elections give the citizens the chance to make their political to having a Nigeria of everyone's dream. Join Ʀᴇᴄᴜ as it takes to task seasoned analysts, opinion makers, business professionals, and politicians on issues around politics, policies, governance. FM will welcome you, roommates, as we discuss the situations.
Good evening and welcome to the midweek edition of the Situations in Political and Socio-Economic Issues. It happens Monday through to Fridays from 4 p.m. all the way to 5:30 p.m. 90 minutes of conversations, 90 minutes of dialogue, 90 minutes of conversations about socio-economic issues, among other things. But we needed to adjust our schedule to accommodate the over 48 hours from now. And as we have been doing for some 4 to 6 weeks, we've been having candidates come into the studio to talk to us about the initiatives and the plans that they have for the local community, because we would be having conversations with some of the candidates so they can tell us what they do represent. My name is Sage, both of them simultaneously, the more the merrier, and leave your submissions in real time if you would like to participate at LCDA. And also in the studio, I'll bring it in just a few minutes right after I talk to Joel Samuel, each other simultaneously. Good evening. How are you doing today?
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Joel Samuel.
Thank you so much for
I believe progressiveness is ideally what anyone who wants to occupy such a position to, well, the Labour Party councillorship candidate for Ward C, Ikoyi Obalende Local Council Development Area. First of all, are there any specific areas, yes, in this LCDA that has caught your interest? What would you say is necessarily lacking in that LCDA that you think you be?
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, of course. Well, the Ikoyi, of course, most people, if you don't live in there, it's easy to say, oh, we have it all in Ikoyi. But there's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of improvement that needs to be made. Like, for example, we have Linde. So actually, before I set out to run for this position, I thought it wise that my policies should reflect the voice of the people. So, and not just, it's okay for me to say I want to do X, Y, Z, just like every other politician should do. I want to build borehole here, I want to do this here, but to the community, and then have several meetings with different stakeholders in the security. There's always this fear of and all of that, and security challenges, even at the where you think that, oh, it's all perfect. So yes, for those who live in high walls, there's a lot of, I first of all had a chat with different people in the community for us to come up with a community charter of demand, which is going to form the basis for my policies, so that the voice of the people is actually reflected in whatever policies. A whole lot of concern. Boys, they need a lot of empowerment, they need to be taken off the street. A place like Ikoyi, I feel it should not be so. And then these are the areas I'm covering. So they are one of the people I'm also in. We're all coming up with, so these boys need to be empowered. They also need a form of empowerment. I feel that a place like that should have at least one. In the area of education, we also have, yes, the elites have, for example, the elites have housekeepers and that the elite children can afford. So the public school we have have another one just close by, so it's safe to just say it's just one school. So it's also not I've had conversation with some of the students, it's a sorry situation, I must say.
We'll
these are
come back
things
and
we
break
need
these
to-
things down. It's just 48 hours before the election, and you understand what the rules are, right? So that is why we needed to speak to these elections coming up on the 12th of July, the local government elections coming. We have Babajide Benson, the PDP chairmanship candidate for Surulere local government. Good evening, Jide Benson. Security is one of the biggest thing when it comes to Lagos State's security, and the fact that yes, the kind of insecurity that we see in Lagos is not for the kind of insecurity we have here, hence why it continues to thrive. In Surulere local government, what for situation should you have an opportunity to be the winner of that election come July 12th?
All right, thank you. So the primary who missed it on their way up or on their way growing up. So we know the people who have the tendency to veer more towards crime because they missed it. And when I say some of them are people I grew up with, so I do not look down on them because I know that it could have been me. I repeated in secondary school, or I was expelled from the university.
Wait,
So
what?
I say that again?
I said how?
Yeah, so,
Are you, so how did you put yourself
I
on the
don't-
right track
I
again?
cannot, yes, that's exactly the point. So, I mean, I could easily decide that okay, I want to move out of Surulere. But when I look at those people, I think the approach. The first thing we're going to do is to ensure that we provide broadband internet for the police stations in Surulere. Barracks. That's a very popular place. And you also have a police station within that place. Inside the National Stadium, there's a police post. In a place called Stadium Hotel, there's also a police post. And then on Body Thomas, there's a police station. So we're simply complement it with CCTVs, such that from each of those stations, they have local government-wide coverage of what is happening in the local government part-time, breakdown of law and all that. So from the DPO's office, from the DCO's office, from the various IPO's office, from the area commander's office, they think that the dust has settled. It's primarily the responsibility of the federal government, and it what is called PCRC, which is the Police Community Relations Committee. And one of the things that I found out that the policemen are regular people like you and I. What we dislike about the human beings is what we dislike about them is when they're wearing the black and black uniform or the blue and black uniform. Very challenged. So we're going to be plugging into some of their areas, which is education. So we are to crime and security. And this is something I intend to do within 60 to 90 days when elected as internet service providers. Ask them to give us a general
Tracking, proper database, and
Yes.
also in that your award, for example, local council development, we all agree that it is the gate man, the chef, and all these things. Even the government had to break down some shanties because people were living there, amongst other things. So is it not afford the usual housing system there in that local council development area, the ones they can afford and they're close to work, this area, if we're going to describe it as that?
Yeah, thank you very much. So, yeah, in my community are comfortable. So, yes, that housing issue has been a very major concern.
Do you mind coming?
for Conversation around, and if you go on social media, I think that I also believe that the arrangement where can actually integrate it in a way that I think in Kenya, where they run this system where every house in that county is you go through the county. The county government has like this system that is monitored by the government. So and then the prices too are controlled to ensure that the value or the premium, if we're able to get it, if my chairman and I get into power, it's easy for us to really push that through. At the end of the day, governance is about making the life of the people better. So I believe if whoever is going to be there as a chairman, when we start pushing these policies, value the people they're putting on the houses, not just for the rich. Yes, Ikoyi is a high-brow area, but of course, even those who live in high will have. May your housekeeper have to travel all the way from Ajangbadi to your house because. So I believe Ikoyi should not just be for the rich.
Housing for nation, yes. Collectively, it would make a difference exposed and those who are not so exposed. So it's a combination. How do you intend to handle public transportation? Unfortunately, we are, and they break traffic rules. It's almost as if they're invincible to the law, amongst other things. And I see that supervise public transportation in that area and also minimize the incidents of harassment that these public drivers and those in the public
Question feeds into our approach to road infrastructure.
right.
There are the federal government roads. The trunk B roads are the state government roads, and trunk C roads are local government roads. 2-lane roads, or some of the roads where you exit, one will be entry, and where one is entry, one will be exit. Some roads are really narrow, and you still find people parking on either side of the road. So some of them are on the off Lᴏᴜᴜ Road in Itirẹ, between a number of roads there are due to become single lane, one-way traffic organized, and we're going to be doing that with the Lagos State government, because what you have is a situation where members of the NURTW and the road, so many of the people who drive these buses, whether it's the Korokwe or the Danfos, they have subscribed to it to motorists. So we would have it will be comfort to other road users, because there are instances where they practically halt traffic to address that issue.
Right. I do have with me in the studio still Joel, candidate Sᴜʟɪᴅ local government. This is the local government episode of the local government and the LCDA that they intend to be representing in their different capacity. All right. So let's have a conversation here, right, about one might think that there's not a lot of problem. If you can live in Ikoyi, then chances are the way that particular area is would involve you having to make sure people are actively engaged in the influence. I know that you're not necessarily the chairmanship candidate, but your job is to represent the people. Yeah. So first of all, what sort of initiatives would you be pushing forward to ensure that everybody there is engaged, especially
like I did mention earlier that with different people from different classes with the community. So practically no street in Ikoyi Ward C. So, and because I sit down with them, a little of the man that we're crafting together, because like I did things, I just want it to be something that really affects then we're coming up with this community charter of demand that has the voices of everyone, both the elites, the modest. It's also one of the strong points where, because some of these, I did mention about these street boys that employed, if they have something doing, so they won't be there. So in the course of my interaction with them, that's also popped up. That's one of the things about in the Labour Party. And then we talked about this. And then I even took him and we went to empower them.
When you say empower, to educate them further, do you mind?
Okay, so bosses, where you could give it to them. Maybe at
you say they pay in installments.
They could pay in installments. So there's about that security that exists, and then she made mention of her housekeeper being a victim of one chance. We're going to try to that place is registered and we know them.
All right.
So now one of the things, if we have guarantors and all of that, and then we have them up installment, and then so that way we are also tackling security issues, and then also to create soft loan, or so employ other people, and then we're creating jobs. So these are some of so if it goes either ways. So so these are some of the plans we have in place right now.
Thank you, Josam. Let's talk about Babajide Johnson. Let's talk about sanitation, Lagos. But since you're focusing on Sᴜʟɪᴅ for now, yes, what plans do you have? There's the human factor, of course. People just talking to people, they're saying that, well, you can't expect me to pay 5,000 naira to throw things away. I'd rather just disposal and sanitation. What strategy do you
be looking at waste to wealth, living rooms? When you want to dispose waste, please sort the plastics and the cans. And we're going to come as the part of our action, life underwater and energy transform, such that when you take drinks in PET bottles, don't dispose them, soft drinks and what have you. Use them when you gather them up to a point. We come to measure them. I mean, I didn't see this coming. I probably didn't see this coming at the time. It's called the clear out and pack away arrangement. And it's a very simple one. We're going to get waste disposal trucks who already cover that area in a second level or private arrangement, such that on the day those exercises happen, the trucks will be have instances that when those gutters are cleared out, all of the rubbish is just left by the roadside. When it dries out, people start to drive on top of them and it becomes things. And for the plastics, we will gather. I mean, what we also intend to have an investment arm is one of them. So our approach to managing, our approach to sanitation, as I
My guest to you, Joel Sam, local government. The phone lines are actually open if you'd like to communicate and ask them questions, or you can send a message via WhatsApp 09136000FM. You can drop your comments in real time if you have questions for these individuals or areas, especially if you live. By all means, do call, do drop a message so that I can forward these questions to them. In terms of education as
Yes.
well, public
Yes.
schools,
Yes.
there seems to be a very there's a disparity,
Yes.
public and private. Candidates at this time would tell me that they enjoy the privilege of public school, that they didn't go to private schools, but sadly, children who go to public schools nowadays are seen less than. They can't even compete. They can't go toe to toe with those in private again.
Okay. So a number of things. Number one is that we're going to set up something called Teach for Sᴜʟɪᴅ initiative. So the Teach for Sᴜʟɪᴅ will be modeled after the Teach for Nigeria initiative and Teach for America. So what we're with the pupils in the different primary schools to take some of their subjects. So if you've talked about private schools, so if you go to many of the private is to make them look the knowledge. So what we're within the local government look up to, so that when they're in class, when they're children, while they are in school, depending on the class that they have. So the kind of graffiti or paintings they're going to do for the public primary schools is also to provide internet for their staff rooms, so that the teachers don't have to worry about to prepare lesson notes. They also need data. The lesson notes has to be renewed, reviewed. Takes care of the physical infrastructure, and it attends to the pupils themselves.
All right, then. How do you intend to tackle, especially at the primary level, areas in Ikoyi? Do you have a specific?
The Habib Falawio school, and then it's just it's not a very good site. So one of the things I'm going to be very particular. The public school is actually a benchmark for the private school, even. So that's what I'm looking at. A system I'm looking at. We bring into Ikoyi of the private schools in terms of learning. So we're going to make sure that if you look at our private schools today, a lot of the teachers, sometimes you start wondering. And then I'm really very passionate about this area, and I want it's area I'm going to be paying serious attention to ensure that the schools are refurbished, the teachers are very much qualified. Also think that we need more schools, more public schools my daughter attends, spending so much to school, a toddler, a little girl. So I'm a product of private school. I went to private schools, even though I had to switch to private school.
Oh, you were once in public school, and then you had to be pulled out.
One of the area we have a lot. We have the opportunity to be schooled. One of the time we're having this conversation with some of the colleagues, that he's a product of night school, and I also think that we need to start looking at bringing back the idea of reusable textbooks. Trying to be able to
affordability.
Exactly. So if you look at the cost of textbook that reduces. So for example, if I have 3 kids, the first one can use and the next person use. It's actually a system I grew up with. So but today for us to have that back.
Interesting.
Community,
Interesting. Jide Benson, let's talk about transparency. Now, a lot of people would say that they don't have a local government chairman. Why does this have anything to do with the governor per se? You are supposed to talk to your local government chairman, or at least act as I would just rather talk to the governor or direct all my grievances to the president. But what is responsible for this disconnect that exists in me, and I can fix it in my own capacity?
Okay, part of it is the quality of people who are local government chairmen.
Right.
And that's actually as councillors and as chairman. My argument is that if 20% of the local government chairmen were of quality minds, we will be telling a different story. It's a simple Pareto principle. 20% of the people doing it, will I be doing to improve it? A part of my service agenda is innovation and technology. We're going to be setting up a community radio station. On that, we provide jobs for people. It's going to create information and awareness, and it's going to add to our internally generated revenue. So there are small businesses and not-for-profit association, the CDAs and the CDCs, and that is something that will definitely outlive us month and every quarter. What we're channeling those things to do. We're going to have a functional website integrated with social media handles. So see us there. If you are the ones who like to go to websites to check what's happening, you will see our footprints. So that will help us to address the real issue of transparent out and the governors. They're actually the responsibilities of local governments. But many people don't know who their local government chairman is, not even talk of knowing where the local government secretariat is located.
Talking to candidates, generally anchoring programs, people call in and they talk about how they cannot afford stalls, and so you see them at night, they just spread something on the ground and put their vegetables there. About a market system where if you cannot afford to sell it, especially for those in
not doing too well, but they can be better. And that's why you find the situation where a lot of petty traders cannot afford the market, can no longer afford it. So we're going to be identifying how they currently do things like a susu and the what do you call them, stores, and that would reduce the markets or the shops. They come in different sizes. We can say, look, 3 of you come together to jointly own this. We have that complementary. So we will get many of them to register with the cooperative societies. We'll get them to be part of a formal, what do you call it, ajo, a susu system, and that way they will bid as them and the market stores developers, and that way we'll be able to address some of those issues.
How about you? What kind of plans do you have for those who would like?
Okay, so that's also one of the area we're looking at for empowerment, where we can actually have, we may be able to do, or at a very minimal cost. So these are areas we're looking at, depending on what's available, what we have, some of the things that popped up. Like in the area, for example, on Alexander Road, agencies come, push all of their stuff. They are trying to keep that approach, because so are you telling the person to go and die? For us to be able to create stores where people can use, and then you don't necessarily use, and you're paying at a very subsidized rate, that you can actually be able to into servicing rents and all of that. So yes, that's one of the areas.
Councillors oftentimes try to establish a relationship with the center such that they put about what goes on at the center, that they forget their own responsibility system. I'm sure this is a notion you're familiar with. Is this something that, and how do you intend to constantly reassure the people that me being here is not about whatever plans I have for my political career moving forward?
Okay, thank you, councillor.
It's okay, yeah.
So over the years, we've had councillors who disappear after election, and they reappear after. So it has been so abused. I don't know of other states, but I'll speak of Lagos, such that it has been abused. When I went out into the community, when I had conversation with people, I'm asking them what to be doing. So I did a flyer, and then I started circulating it. I'm with my team, and we're going out. So when I hand it to people and they look at it, so they pause with educating people what a councillor should be doing, because what demand you should be making. So you probably won't even make a demand at all. So this is what you should be demanding from me. So yes, I've still be prioritizing is regular town hall meetings, where at our demand we have a town hall meeting, we agree on okay, this and this XYZ is town hall meetings where we have interactions, feedback with the community, or what the people's priority is.
Thank you, Joel Samuel. You build a school is not one day that you would educate those who are not educated, or build houses for them to deal with. If you have that opportunity, the first priority
agenda is encapsulated in something called service, SERVICE. So S for innovation and technology, C for community development, hanging fruits. Providing broadband for Sᴜʟᴏ local governments is something that shouldn't take 30 days. Phone call that you just need to get the market of one of the internet service providers. We want to provide internet for, can you make your routers available and run cables from the office of the area commander to the DPO. Part of our agenda is something called Lᴏᴜ jobs for Lᴏᴜ people. There are a lot of young guys. Many of them are bundles of creative talents looking for expression. There are painters, there are artists, there are musicians, there are rappers, and what have you. Some of them are going to be engaged within the first 100 to begin the interventions that we want to do in the public schools. So some of these young people who are inclined to draws, so that is not a hanging fruit. It is on the floor as well. The third point is one of the challenges that is. So we're going to be plugging our SMEs. We're going to be creating a hub of all the small businesses in Sᴜʟɪᴅ. We identify their challenges, and then we do something called a matching. Because when you take out the issue of entrepreneurs and business owners who don't have to become cranky, you start to think when the month gets to 24 or 25, you start becoming very cranky. So we can get our businesses to be able to employ people within the long-term ones and their long-term ones, but we can begin to work from day one in office.
Right. That was the voice of Babajide Benson, PDP chairmanship candidate, Sᴜʟɪᴅ local BA. And we're having a conversation about the possibilities, the many possibilities that they see when they think of the LCDA or the local government that they are currently, that they are trying to represent. The phone lines are now open, by the way. 09136000410 is the number to dial. If you I'm well, thank you. Your name, please.
Yeah, my name is Barrister Peter Oko. I'm calling from Mendy, Maryland.
All right, nice to have you. Go ahead, please.
Yes, they are very, very important to me because in politics, vibe that they bring out their mind to help the common man because the people are so engaged in bribery and corruption. Because the way they do, when people go into politics in America, they go for service and demonetize our political space. We are not going anywhere in this country. First, if people like it, they organize how they raise money for campaign.
Okay.
Not people looting at public funds and use it to
00410 is the number to dial. Hello.
Hello, Sage. Good morning. Happy good afternoon.
I know you're used to hearing me in the morning. Good evening.
Babajide Benson.
Ambrose. How are you, sir?
Guy is a wonderful guy, Sage.
I do know about
They should vote for Grant. He used to dash out giveaways. He is such an intelligent man. I'm not flattering him. In the whole state, not just Lagos State, where people, every the party that.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you.
God bless you.
We appreciate you. Speaking about the road network, it totally skipped my mind. There's this whole thing with parking. Yes, because it affects me personally, which is why I'm surprised it skipped my mind, because I'm upset every morning because I have to leave home as early as 5:30, and then somebody decided to do double parking plan for you. There's supposed to be a distance between your gates to your house. I know that much. So that you're able to park, but people park on the street and they.
It's a chicken and egg situation,
right?
Where people build houses and there are no provisions of the developers, but it also plugs back into the people who are supposed to regulate building, parking permit authority. So you wonder how certain people build houses. You see a 3-story building or a high rise and there's only provision. Even event centers, somebody builds an event center and there's parking for only maybe 3 or 4 cars, places of worship and schools. So what we are going to be doing is we're going to identify places where we can put multi-level car parks.
Okay.
Unfortunately, Sᴜʟɪᴅ is a completely built-up environment. But that said, we will explore the possibility of working with the Lagos State parking permit authorities. They've already, and to go back to the point I made earlier on, is that if we reverse the flow of traffic, or if we reorder the flow of traffic on some of our streets, we would tackle.
Okay, so in my ward in Ikoyi, we have it a bit lesser when it comes to people parking.
Indiscriminate parking.
Yes, but sometimes, especially when there's event, there's this hotel, a lot of people park, and sometimes the parking could create some sort of obstruction in the flow of traffic. So I have actually thought about that. T compounds were, of course, privately owned, but yeah, it's something I plan to explore. Like a place where illegal occupants and could eventually turn to criminal hideout. So why don't lease park pending when the time when you're ready to proper parking, and then we have like a sharing formula between. So it's like a private public partnership.
Everybody wins at the end of the day. Let me take this phone call. Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Evening to you, sir. Can you turn down the volume on your radio, please?
One of your one of your guests is the statement of 20% of the local government they are performing. I think it will be one of the best states in this country because of the creation of LCDA. Do you know how many years the LCDA has been created? LCDA is created for, for progressiveness. I mean, of each myself with the statement of your guest, one of your guests saying 20% of them are performing. You see, look, they need to be accountable. President Tinubu created LCDA for the developmental purpose of Lagos State. For some of them, because the image of this man, you understand, and make Lagos a better place. You are going there to serve people, not yourself. You understand? To serve the community.
It says, hi, Milan FM. I would like to ask the PDP chairmanship candidate, what is the unique thing, or let me say, something in his manifesto that would attract the electorate to come out and cast their vote for the party on Saturday, putting into consideration all the numerous achievements that Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila and Honorable Bamidele Sulaiman has done. Also, what quality plan does he have for the health sector, especially the General Hospital in Sᴜʟᴜlérè, where people and the vulnerable can walk in? Sᴜʟᴜlérè is killing because of agents and their commission fee. What plan does he have? God bless Nigeria. Team Talk not wait for Oh, he's actually in Sᴜʟᴜlérè. Nice.
Yeah, I mean, for somebody to ask a multi-barrel question like that, the person must be very familiar with Sᴜʟᴜlérè.
Right.
So I'll start with the last part about getting accommodation in Sᴜʟᴜlérè.
Yeah.
It's not. I don't think it's Sᴜʟᴜlérè. It's now a Lagos. It is now a Lagos pandemic, and thankfully there's a Lagos State. There's something called LASRERA, which is the Lagos State Real Estate Regulation Agency or something. And their primary responsibility is to regulate. Agents are working in isolation. They are most times carrying out the mandate of the owners of the property, because at the end of the day, they only go to get a commission. That said, the Lagos State government already also explored the possibility of people paying house rents on a monthly basis or on a quarterly basis. So we are going to be taking that up with the state government that, look, Sᴜʟᴜlérè is not Banana Island. And so we're a proper middle class environment.
Right.
And it's a very good point that he makes. The immediate past chairman of the local government functioning as a general hospital. And so one of the things that we are going to do is to equip it very well. And we're going to prioritize elderly care. We're going to prioritize health for nursing mothers and pregnant women. Now, he talked about the first part of the question was the work that Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila has done. And I quite commend that. I'm not unaware of a lot of those things. But I would argue about the part where he mentioned the local government chairman. So a lot of the work that has been done by the local government is not. What we have is a dull, docile, and drab that was allowed to happen. And I don't think that it's appropriate for people like me to sit down knowing that what we refer to as Nollywood today has a lot of its roots on the same street. There's a lot of history around Sᴜʟᴜlérè. The idea of setting up a community radio station alone will do a lot for every cadre of people living in Sᴜʟᴜlérè. I would do to come and vote. Yeah, this is one of the things that I'm doing. I mean, the opportunity that platforms like yours have given me. We're doing quite some campaign. Our posters are out and about. Our billboards are out and about. We're talking to the people online, real time. We're going into the communities that, look, this is a breath of fresh air. I consider myself better by far than the person who's there now.
Okay. Joel Samuel, open the phone line. All right, Joel Samuel, let's talk about emergency response. I know that there's the emergency number for Lagos. Is it 121 now? I'm sorry. But then again, 767, yes. 112, that's the number I was thinking of. The central emergency response in the state. Each local government or local council development area has their own emergency response and can be complemented by the state emergency response. Is this an initiative you think is possible?
Very much so. Yes, I actually believe that every ward should have their own emergency response system. So, the way Lagos is designed, so if you depend on the central system and then there's an emergency.
Sorry to interrupt you. Nigerians don't even move away when they hear sirens, unfortunately.
Exactly.
All right, so allow me to interject
please.
at this point. So that is part of the orientation and awareness that needs to be done.
Yeah.
So there's the national trucks, ambulances, police, default. And I think that this also feeds into the curriculum of driving schools. And that's part of what we are going to be doing. That look, when you go to a driving school and they're teaching you how to change the gear and move a car, they also should teach you about road etiquette, if there's anything like that. That when you see a car coming from the left side of the road, you have to pause or you have to slow down. When you hear the sound of an ambulance, it doesn't matter whether they are carrying anybody or not. It could be that they are going to pick somebody. The fire truck may be in a hurry to respond to somebody. The police may be responding to a call. And I've talked about having broadband internet in police station and local government-wide surveillance. And what that means is that if they identify that something is about to happen, it means that they're going to rush into their vehicles and quickly move. So when people hear sirens, it matters not whether they're carrying a dead body. Just make way, even for your own good. What you refer to as enlightened self-interest, or for my own safety, or for my own selfish. You can even abuse them, make them they park themselves, they go. But just make way for them. When they go, then the road remains for you.
Let me take this phone call. Hello. Okay, I don't know if this is a connection thing. We still have about, say, 10 minutes to accommodate your calls before we have to leave the studio for the news at 5:30. Okay, I think he's back. Hello.
Yes, radio presenter. I appreciate you a lot, and all of you. She created those SCDA for himself. So the person is enjoying it. Then you said that is why we are not coming out that this election, APC went to go and give a chairmanship to people that can't even spell their name. Look at my place here, Yanapaja here. If you see one of the chairman, he can't even spell his name. Okay. He has to put his name for the PROSA, he can't on labor, PDP. Let us vote them. They are educated. They know what they are doing. If they handle this local government at least for 4 years, I believe there will be change. So when somebody complain that they are not seeing the level of democracy in the Lagos.
Open 091360000410. Facebook at Milan 98.3 FM. We're streaming live, so you can drop your comments in real time if you have questions that are relevant to Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, but please, I need your volume to be low. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sir.
Yeah, this is Bola from the court.
All right, welcome.
If you can, remember, any state government that conduct election, you will see with APC is to work chairman in Lagos State. But to what I believe is coming back again. To me as for a state to conduct election on their own and allow another party to win, I don't think it's possible.
I think this feeds into the question I'd asked earlier, where people think that local government chairman pander to the center and they just do everything that the center wants. So that's why I asked what you are within the same party with whoever is president or whoever is governor of the state, and I think you answered that question, right? We would leave the studio very soon, and I would like to actually get your final words. Let's start to hear your last words. Samuel is actually Labour Party councillorship candidate Ward C Ikoyi Obalende LCDA. Say to them.
Okay, so firstly, I'd like to say I actually have my manifesto online, and
right.
You can look it up at bit.ly/SamuelJoel, bit.ly/SamuelJoel. So you can always check out my manifesto, and then you can even reach me directly. There are channels for you to be able to reach me on that at fixing this country. And we need to look at Nigeria as a 3-cylinder engine. You know, the federal government, the state government, the local government. So the local government has been relegated for the longest of time. So whereas the local government is actually where the grassroots is meant to get the dividend of democracy. So we need to change the status quo. We need to actually begin to put voting people that could actually go there and work. Some of the reasons why people have not been always turning out to the people also is because for the longest of time, the local government election is really like something arranged and then they hush it. This is like even the first local government election that we're having like real, people coming out. We have people from all parties coming out and all of that. And there's a narrative also that I'm there. So, but whereby the people come out and vote people that they trust, people that can actually work for them. So the local government will actually feel a sense of duty to those who are actually putting them there. So it's a collective work that we all have to do. We all need to play our own part. You need to come out, vote, and then also hold the local government to account. The local government is there, like Ikoyi in the LCDA. It's not like the state house where all the barricades, police, and all of that. It's open. Anybody can always walk, and I've been there a couple of times. So it's the people. So come Saturday, July 12th. So I'm appealing to everyone in Ikoyi in the LCDA. Come out and vote for Labour Party. The Labour Party have the best of candidates, and I can guarantee you that people who have the mindset to be able to serve the people, to deliver the dividend of democracy. So if you come out and vote, a vote for Labour Party is actually the interest of the people. We don't have like one Baba Isale somewhere, that's the people at the grassroots.
All right, Babajide Benson, PDP chairmanship candidate, Sᴜʟᴜ local government. Your final words, and also I'm going to just throw this to you so that you can issue at least a court judgment that asks that local government be cut off from the apron string of the state government. Let them make their decisions with the monies that is for them, and also let them improve and get their own IGR. What would you put in place to ensure that even when the ability to actually manage the new power that the court has given to
whether the quality of mind manning the local governments are able to manage that responsibility is a different thing. What you currently have is that on paper there's local government autonomy, but in practice that's not the situation. And I'll give an example or a few examples. Right after the Supreme Court judgment, Anambra State decided to take a different path, or your state decided to take a different path. So those are clear examples that are around it. So we need to continue to work on it. The quality of minds. That somebody is 18 and is able to vote or is able to drive does not mean that you must give the person a car if the person is not mature enough. Age maturity is not mind or mental maturity. My final words. My name is Babajide Benson. There's people of Sᴜʟᴜ. I represent your hopes and your aspirations. Together, we can live in a better environment. We all live and work in a local government. Let us make ours one of the line in doing this. It hasn't been an easy decision to step out to run for an office like this, especially your mandate. And I'm serving for only one term, by the way. I'm asking to be chairman for only one term. I will work for you every moment of the time I am in office.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm so curious to ask why you're deciding to do one term, but I will ask you after the program. So so nobody will hear.
Everything can be done in 4 years, really. No, because that way you're not distracted. It's a very simple response.
I understand. But then what if people are so impressed that decide they want you a second time?
Nobody's indispensable. If we set out ab initio and you don't allow the people to get into your heads. No, what if I die in office?
You're not going to die.
Will continue.
In Jesus' name, like my grandma would say, no one will die. Thank you very much. It's been fun talking to you. Something 90 minutes engage. I mean, time apathy is a problem we have to deal with. Go out, vote your conscience, and also familiarize yourself with your local government chairman so that you can ask questions rather than call on the governor or the president every single time something is wrong. Know what their duties are so you know when to call them when something goes wrong in your local government area or your local council development area. This has been my time. My name is Sage Babalola. I'm going to step away so we can have the news at 5:30, and at 6 the sports crew will be here to tell you what's